All right, we are live. It is Brian and Johnny back again. Johnny, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Brian. I know you've been a little under the weather lately, but how you feeling tonight?
I got to tell you, I don't feel the greatest. So I went to urgent care and found out I have sinus infection and bronchitis.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
so I'm dealing with that right now. And I worked earlier in the day, so I'm kind of tired, kind of have a bit of a cough. So I'm gonna let you know now that there might be times I have to mute myself or go off camera because I'm coughing too much. So I apologize if that happens. Um, but anyway, hey, we're here live. Go ahead and say hi in the chat. If you have a question, put a big Q in front and then or ask us the question, we'll answer it. Our topic today, I didn't get a chance to make a banner to put up on the screen, but our topic today is a carnivore toolbox. So Johnny, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away, get us started with talking about the carnivore toolbox.
All right, Brian, I appreciate it. So when we talk about the carnivore toolbox, with anybody starting a new project, you need the right tools to complete the project. And when you go on a carnivore diet, it's so different, so transitional from the standard American diet that you may need some new tools. For example, anybody on here that's cooked a lot of bacon or fried eggs or fried steak in some beef tallow will know that you're going to get a lot of grease on your shirts. It just happens. So you have to have an apron. And don't just go get the cheap cloth apron. Get one that has a little bit of a structure to it to where if you get grease on it, it won't just bleed through right to your shirt. So that's an example of a tool that you need, I believe, when you're starting carnivore or you're considering starting carnivore or you're trying to take your carnivore game to the next level. So that's one thing that I would do. I would have an apron. I wish I'd have had one when I first started. Actually, my wife had this, and I was too lazy to put it on. And I've got a drawer full of shirts in there with a big grease stain right there. So now I've started wearing the apron, and I'm able to save all my shirts. So that would be one
So,
example of a tool, something that you might not think about with a standard American diet, but with a carnivore diet, you're definitely going to use it a lot more.
so I was going to say, and you did say this, that it's not just your standard apron. That does look like a really heavy duty apron.
Yeah, I think my wife said she paid about 25 or 30 bucks for it, so it was not inexpensive, but it saved me
Yeah.
$100 worth of shirts. So do the math. Yeah, it's
Mm.
pretty expensive. You can get the little cheap cloth ones, but if you get a bunch of oil or grease, I say oil, beef tallow or bacon grease on one of those, it could bleed through right into your clothing. So get one that has some structure to it. I'm not sure what this thing's made out of. It probably says on here somewhere. But if grease gets on this, it does not penetrate through to my clothes. So yeah, it was about 30 bucks. I think my wife said for this. You could probably find maybe one a little bit cheaper or maybe more expensive. Just make sure that it has the felt or the backing to it where it won't bleed through into your clothes. Otherwise, it's really not any money saved. But I wear this every time I cook now. And since I've been putting it on, I haven't had a single mishap with any of my shirts. And I probably have at least $100 worth of shirts that I've ruined by not putting the apron on. So great tool for the carnivore toolbox.
Yeah, that's great. I might have to consider that because you can't even imagine how many shirts I've ruined. I still wear half of them too when I'm not going out or something,
Sure.
But I've got so many shirts that have stains on them. So either I need an apron or I need to figure out how to get the stains out of them. So if anybody knows how to get the stains out of the grease stains, let us know. Oh, we do have a question here, and I even hate to bring this question up. Anthony, he says, Wixter, what is it like to be such a stud at carnivore? I don't know because I wouldn't consider myself a stud at all, especially with carnivore. There's so many people that have done so much better with carnivore than me. Like, for instance, Anthony, who just asked this question. He's had amazing transformation. So I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, okay, so you gave a thing that you like to use as one of your carnivore toolbox things. while I still have a good voice, like I said, I'm not feeling very good. I got the bronchitis. So while I still have a good voice, I'm going to give something out here. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Johnny to give some more tips and so forth. So a lot of people talk about, and you'll probably talk on this along this lines too, about how expensive things can be, right? And a lot of people say, you know, carnivore is too expensive. But there are definitely different things you can do. Um, you don't have to have like a steak. You don't have to have a ribeye all the time, right? You can do chuck roast, for instance, and that's much cheaper. You can do ground beef, that's much cheaper. Eggs, you know, that kind of stuff. But let's go back to steak really quick. Here's something I like to do. And New York strip is a good, to me, it's a good steak, but it's very kind of lean. But if so, what I do is I go to Costco because I have a Costco by me. You could do this at any type of place like that, like a Sam's Club, whatever. But they have the bigger slabs, right? And New York strip is cheaper than ribeye. But if you buy the slabs, while it's a bigger price point probably up front, it's cheaper per pound than the individual steaks. And they have the fat cap on them. So I like to buy the big slabs, bring it home, put it on the cutting board. Got a nice to Brave Edge, I believe, knife that I use. And I cut my own steaks, leaving the fat cap on it. So it's got that extra fat, so it's not too lean. It ends up being, you know, fattier like you need. I might even put some butter on it when I cook it up. But that's what I do. I cut up my individual steaks. That way I also can cut the steaks to the size I like. So typically I'll do somewhere around 20 to 24 ounce steaks because I like to eat about 1.5 pounds of beef in a meal. So that's what I'll do. It ends up being cheaper than if you buy the individual steaks. And again, it's cheaper than ribeye. And I got that fat cap. So it might still not be quite as fatty as a ribeye, but it still ends up being pretty decent for a New York strip. So that's one of the things I like to do. Before I turn it back over to you, let's catch up on a couple things here here's about when I was asked about getting grease out of the clothing. OxyClean, Max Force, and Dawn Platinum. So I'll have to try that. Dawn Platinum, I guess, would just be the dish soap that we're talking about, using that. So I'll definitely try those. So thanks for giving me those suggestions. I'll try those and see if I can save some of my clothes. D. Lee says, hi, I just wanted to say hi. I have to go make dinner. Enjoy your live. All right. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. Hope you have a good dinner. All right. That catches us up. So Johnny, let's go back to you. Gonna give you some time to talk here. What else you got for the toolbox?
All right. Well, Brian, this kind of ties real nicely into what you were just talking about buying the entire roast and then cutting it yourself. Well, what if you wanted to find out who has, you know, meat on sale? So I'm going to put this up. I don't know if it'll come up real good, but it's the Flip app on my phone. A lot of you guys may have this. It's a free app that you can download on your phone, and it knows, you know, you put your GPS location in there, and it finds grocery stores near you. Of course, you go in there and select the ones that you want that you'll shop at, and then you can create a grocery list like steak, hamburger, eggs, cheese, milk, anything you want. And then you can go through it, and when the weekly sales come up at each grocery store, usually a day or two before the sale actually hits, you can check the Flip app and see if anybody's got ribeye, ground chuck, ground beef, or New York strip on sale. And if they have it on sale and you have room in your freezer, go ahead and stock up. Find this stuff on sale. Don't just go to the grocery store on a whim, and you may go to the higher price one, and the grocery store down the street could have it for $3 or $4 a pound less because it's their loss leader or it's their big sale item. So it's called the Flip, F-L-I-P-P app, I think is what it was. And yeah, it's just a free app, and it's a great tool for your Carnivore Tool Box to help you save money and reduce the impedance of going carnivore.
All right. So did I spell it right there? Flip app.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
I got it. All right. So I got a little banner there if anybody wants to go check it out. Let me see here. Okay. Sorry. I got to tell you, this is like, So I'm coming up on 3 years. On July 1st, I'll be 3 years on the carnivore diet. And this is actually the sickest I have ever felt on carnivore. Normally, I get like a cold or something and have it for a couple days and that's it. And this just the cough hasn't really gone away. And I think part of it, we were talking earlier, Johnny. I think part of it is just sometimes, and maybe this is like something that happens with carnivore that I guess it can be a negative, right? Sometimes you don't realize how much more energy you have compared to the before. And if you're not feeling well and you keep doing things like I did on Saturday, I was outside at least 8-9 hours straight doing yard work, taking apart the what was left of the deck and throwing it in the dumpster and that kind of stuff. And I just overdid it. And I went from kind of having a little bit of a cough to just full blown, like the cough has been horrible the last couple of days. So I guess I need to just kind of rest up here for a couple of days and make sure I can get over it. But that's one of those things, I guess, that happens. Like I said, I've been on carnivore now for 3 years, and this is the worst I've ever felt. So it's interesting.
But Brian, I will say that you and I talked just before we went on live here. You have been burning the candle at both ends a lot here lately with all the projects you got going on with that deck, with your 60-day workout transformation that you still are trying valiantly to maintain. You're working full time. I know you got stuff going on at home, so you have really put your body under a lot of stress. And to your point, you feel so good on carnivore, you don't realize that you still need to rest. You still need to give your body just a break. Some recovery is one of the most underrated things, I think, when it comes to, especially at our age and with physical, working your body really hard. You got to take a day or two to recover so that when you do have a cold or whatever, you give your body a little more reserves to fight what's going on. So take a few days there and get better. Then you'll come back strong as all get out.
Yeah. So we got a comment here about I always buy on sale and stock up on steaks. This is something I've got prime rib still in my freezer from when it was on sale. And if you're newer on the carnivore diet and you might not be familiar with the way they do sales, but certain grocery stores out there will have sales typically in December leading up to Christmas. And again, just before Easter. So that's March, April timeframe, right? So those are good times to stock up on prime rib. Like I've gotten them for like as cheap as like $5.99 a pound, and normally they're like what, $15 a pound or more. So the last time around Easter time, my wife and I, we went a couple of different times to this one grocery store, and I think we bought like 5 of them. So I still got one in the freezer, and that's a good way to, use that toolbox to kind of save yourself some money too.
Exactly. And speaking of that, Brian, my wife and I went to Sam's day before yesterday, and not everybody has a freezer. Not everybody has a lot of extra space to put a freezer. But I was at Sam's, and I'm sure you can get. I'm not, shilling for Sam's here, but they did have a 7 cubic foot, a little kind of a smaller chest freezer for $199. And if you had room in a spare bedroom or in your utility room or in somewhere, if you had a large bedroom, you could put it in. So it's just a small chest type freezer, $199, and it would pay for itself pretty quickly if you can buy big ribeye roast or New York strip roast and cut them and freeze them. Then that $199, which I know was a lot of money for some people, it's a lot of money for me right now, but that $199 you would get your money back. The fact that when things go on sale, if you can save $3 a pound on roast or on steaks or on prime rib, $3 or $4 a pound, you buy 10 pounds 3 times, you've more than paid for the freezer. And it's a little small 7 cubic foot. You can buy it and use it strictly for meat when meat goes on sale, whether it be steak, pork, even chicken, if you eat that on your carnivore diet. And it doesn't have a very big footprint. So just another example of a great tool you can put in your toolbox and Sam's had it for 199 bucks. And you may be able to find a used one on Facebook Marketplace or something for even less. But 7 cubic foot's a pretty small footprint, but yet you can still put a lot of meat in there.
Yeah. So I got another one I'm going to throw out here. And this one, again, if you're like somebody newer in carnivore, you probably have, or you may have at least, a waffle maker. I've got kids. We had a waffle maker at our house. Used to make waffles for the kids and stuff, right? So there's something called, and I want to make sure I say this right, chaffles. Is that how you say it? Chaffles?
Yeah.
And basically it's cheese and egg, and you make it in the waffle maker. And it comes out just like a regular waffle would, but it's the ingredients, just 2 ingredients, cheese and egg. So this is a good thing you can do as well. It gives you variety, right? For people that are looking for something different. I actually did it for the first time a few days ago, and I just did a smaller amount to make 2 waffles, or chaffles, I guess I should say. It was 2 eggs and like a cup of cheese or something like that, and you mix it all together and put it in the waffle maker. And our waffle maker that we have has like a spot for 4 different waffles, so I put it in 2 of them. And I also have something that I make called sausage gravy that has basically just 3 ingredients that are all carnivore, and I put that on top. It's kind of like the gravy on top or whatever. And that's a nice thing to do. That's different. It's still carnivore, and it gives you a little bit of variety. And if you already have a waffle maker, there you go. That's something new to put in your toolbox, because you can still use it and eat carnivore. So that was another one I got.
Yeah, I've got to try that, Brian. I saw that you put that on Facebook, and I said, man, I've been saying I'm going to do it. I have one of those little single individual waffle makers. I don't remember the brand name, but yeah, I want to try that, because I eat a lot of hamburger patties, and it would be kind of nice if I had the chaffle as a top and bottom bun, and to kind of hold on to it versus cutting it with my fork and eating little bites. I don't mind doing that, but it would be kind of neat to be able to pick it up like you would, if you were at McDonald's or Burger King, pick it up and eat it and still be 100% carnivore. So I'm going to try that, and I'll do a video on it when I do it, and hopefully I won't screw it up too bad. But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that. That's a great extra tool. Some people that talk about doing, that perfect picture. Some people talk about doing carnivore, but they say, we've already kind of dispelled the myth that it's too expensive. To some degree, we've told people how to, minimize how much money they spend. And then people say, well, there's no variety. I don't want to just eat meat. Well, the picture Brian is showing right here of the chaffles, that's perfect variety. There's a website, YouTube channel, I think it's called Chris Cooking Nashville, or Chris Cooks Nashville. Guy does carnivore and keto, mostly carnivore, but some keto recipes. And he comes up with some of the most creative things, and it's 100% keto or ketovore. Most of it's carnivore. I think it's called Chris Cooking Nashville, or Chris Cooks Nashville.
Chris Cooking Nashville. Chris Cooking Nashville. Yep.
And or you can just follow Brian. Brian will make you some chaffles and show you how to do that.
I'm going to bring up this other. This is with the sausage gravy on top of it. And the sausage gravy is only 3 ingredients: sausage, cream cheese, and heavy cream. So again, it all fits for carnivore. It's not something I would eat all the time, because I don't eat cream cheese all the time or anything like that. But it's still something to have every once in a while, and get a variation out there. So,
right. And Brian, another tool in the toolbox. We were talking about steaks earlier, and I'm a terrible cook. I'm even terrible on the grill. I have a tendency to overcook everything. So recently about a year ago, I went out and I bought a meat thermometer. I've never had one before, but now, because I have a meat thermometer, I pretty much don't waste any steaks. If I spend $14.99 or $15.99 on a ribeye, I don't want to overcook it, and I don't want to take it off the grill and it's undercooked and I put it back out there. So having and this was $17. I got it off Amazon. I just looked it up at $17 on Amazon. But you just put it in there. You can take the steak and move it off the flame or on somewhere, and then you just poke it in the thickest part of the steak, and then you can Google what temperature equates to what level of cooking. For example, medium rare is like 105 or 110. Medium is like 125 or something like that. But you can Google that. Plus, I think it comes with it when you have the insert package. So a meat thermometer is a $17 tool that is a great addition to a carnivore toolbox.
Yep. And really it's a must if you want to get your steak just right, cooked just right. So D. Lee says that those look good. Going back to the chaffles with the sausage gravy, it was very good. The chaffles themselves, they actually kind of tasted a little bit like regular waffles. I was surprised. So it's pretty good. Cool. Rick is here. Hello, Rick. It's crack
Rick,
time.
My buddy.
All right. Well, what else you got for us, Johnny? Any other things in your toolbox?
Well, so there's a lot of people out there, Brian, that say, and this is true for me, and I've had to find ways to overcome this. I work so many hours at my job. I'm such a busy person that one of the things that it has become a lifesaver for me is meal prep. When I cook, like Friday, I got to work Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So when I work 13, 14 hours a day, I don't have time to cook. And if I don't have something prepared that's carnivore, the temptation is too easy to grab a prepackaged garbage off the counter or whatever, or go into a restaurant and grab something. So I recently changed from using little plastic cheap containers to take my my food prep in, and I just went to Sam's, and it's not like I'm a salesman for Sam's, but I got these glass dishes here that have the lids. So I've thrown away all my plastic little Tupperware type things, because you warm those in the microwave. All the research says that this microplastics can get into your system, and some of those will never leave your system. So went out and invested in these little glass dishes that have the lid, so I can put my my dish in there. I carry it to work with me. I put it in the freezer and freeze it, then carry it to work, and then I'll find a convenience store, or sometimes the microwave at the hospital. I can warm up my food. So meal prep is a great tool. It will absolutely help keep you on track for carnivore, because if you don't have ready-made food ready to go, it is way too convenient and way too easy to grab something that is not good for you, but you're in a hurry. So meal prep, and I would recommend using glass as opposed to plastic, just because of the microplastics. And until a couple of years ago, I had never heard of microplastics, but now that I've done a deep dive in it, it convinced me to throw all my cheap plastic containers away and buy these glass ones. Another thing, Brian, I know you probably had to step away because you got that cough going on, but another thing that helps save time, and this was, I think I paid $20 for this thing at Walmart, maybe $30. It's an air fryer. I mean, I feel ridiculous holding up an air fryer. You guys probably know what an air fryer is, but this thing's pretty cool. My understanding is you can cook a steak from raw, cook it in the air fryer in 30 minutes time. So if you have a steak and it's frozen, you didn't have time to thaw it out, or you forgot to take the steak out of the freezer, you can put it in your air fryer and cook it from raw to cooked, at least to like a medium or medium rare, and that'll save you some time. I think it was 25 or $30. I think I got it at Walmart or somewhere, maybe Target, and I use that all the time. I mean, that's of all the tools in my toolbox, that's the one that I use the most. So that's just, Brian, I did my glass dishes and my air fryer while you were gone there.
Yeah. And so the air fryer, I actually have I have cooked before with a frozen one in the air fryer, right? A frozen steak. I don't know why I can't think tonight. But anyway, so I have cooked a frozen one, and it works fairly well. It's not something I normally do, because I like to go and thaw out my steaks and then salt them and kind of do like a bit of a dry brine thing. Boy, I really can't talk. But I have done the frozen one before, and it works pretty good that way. So, it's funny. Rick was saying that he uses metal containers on the engine. I've actually seen him do videos before where he's cooked food off of his engine, you haven't seen that video, I know he's got at least one video out there that I remember seeing. You should check it out.
Yeah, I've been watching Rick's bicycle ride videos. He gets on his bicycle and he rides to the grocery store, and he just talks while he rides. Rick, I love those videos, man. It's pretty cool that you got a bicycle out of the trash can, somebody's garbage. Went home, put some oil on it because it was squeaking like crazy. He takes off and rides to the grocery store, and he goes to his favorite grocery store. So he's getting exercise. He's outside. He's in the sun, and he's not spending gas money to go get the groceries. So Rick's got a pretty deep toolbox for carnivore too. And heck, he can cook on an engine.
Yeah. What does he say? Trash picked bike works great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, videos, hey, Rick is really good at coming up with different things that are cheap, right? That don't cost you a lot of money and making them work. I mean, I know he's got like an engineering background, if I remember correctly, which probably helps with a lot of that stuff. But some of his videos are really cool to watch what he does with different things.
Yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed to Rick's YouTube channel, it's Charger Mopar. Probably everybody here has subscribed, but if you haven't, you've got to check Rick out. He's gives me a lot of ideas, and he has kind of set the standard for length of time being a carnivore and being resourceful, how to save money and still do this diet well, especially if you like pickled iguanas.
Yeah.
I don't think he pickles them. He freezes them and then eats
them. And so talking about how long he's been on the carnivore diet, I believe it's 41 years. 41 years on the carnivore diet. So anybody that tells you it's not sustainable long-term, that right there tells you it is 41 years. And I watched Rick ride. Yeah, I watched Rick ride his bicycle. How far was that, Rick? 6, 8, 10 miles he rode his bicycle, talking the entire time, going through traffic on the sidewalks and everything. Never once got out of breath. He just talked normal the entire 5 or 6 mile bicycle ride. It was incredible. So yeah, don't let people say you can't be in great shape to do carnivore. Rick has just proven every myth that people try to throw out there. Yep. Yeah, he says, it was 10 miles. So
yeah, wow. All right, Brian, I got one more tool, one last tool for the toolbox. Are you ready?
All right, let's go with it.
An empty plate. Now, why in the world would I show you guys an empty plate? Because what I have noticed for me, and Brian, you can attest to this as well, it becomes kind of normal to just eat one meal a day. Probably the last 7 or 8 days now, I've just eaten one time. And one day I didn't eat at all because I never felt hungry. When you do the carnivore diet, once you become fully fat adapted and you have some excess fat on your body, as most of us still do, once you eat one good satiating, filling meal, you're not hungry again. You don't even think about food until usually around 24 hours later. Now, if you want to eat 2 times a day or 3 times a day, be my guest. But for me, I eat a power bowl, ground beef, eggs and bacon. A little earlier today with some Redmond's real salt and put a little sour cream on it too. It was actually pretty good. And I fixed a big bowl of it, and halfway through it, I didn't want, I just couldn't, I chewed and I couldn't swallow. I said, well, I guess I'm full. And so I ended up not eating the rest of it. And I won't eat again until tomorrow, maybe even Friday. So I'm not fasting for the purpose of, hey, I'm trying to prove something. I'm fasting because I'm so satiated. My body has everything that it needs that I simply don't have this need or desire to eat 3 times a day. Therefore, I'm saving a lot of money. So I've been buying this grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef. They have it at Sam's. They have it at Costco. They probably have it at BJ's. It's 3 1-pound packages kind of made together. I think Costco is 1.3 pounds, but it ends up being about $5.89 or $5.99 a pound for grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef. And I love it. And I've gotten to where now I'm just using Redmond's real salt. I'm not using any other spices at all. I buy pasture-raised eggs. But if I only eat 1 time a day, I spend $6 on a pound of hamburger meat, maybe $1.50 or $2 on some eggs, and $1 on bacon. You're talking less than $10 a day, and that sustains me for the whole next day. Very few people can eat the standard American diet for less than $10 a day and be healthy. Yeah, you might can get ramen noodles, eat ramen noodles and some cheap hot dogs 3 times a day and save money. But what's it going to cost you in the long run? I am the healthiest I've ever been. My body is obviously being very satisfied because I'm never really hungry. So if you do the math and let the empty plate or a little bit of fasting be a tool in your toolbox, then you'll see that this diet is very sustainable, very inexpensive, and it's fantastic for your body. So that's all the tools I got in my Carnivore Toolbox. I mean, I got others, but I digress.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, the thing about how expensive carnivore diet is it's like this misconception, right? Like even my wife, when I first started doing carnivore, she was like, yeah, she's like, it's gonna be expensive. But after doing it for a while and seeing how much money I spend, she's like, it really actually isn't that bad. Like you're probably spending less than I do to eat. And I'm like, yeah, I think so too. So it's like this misconception out there that's, it's just wrong. And once you go to carnivore, you kind of realize that, yeah, it actually, because I'm not buying all the other stuff. I'm not buying those sides. And, in my case, I just drink water that I'm drinking out of my well because I have a well here. So I'm not buying water. I'm not buying any kind of drinks, it ends up being a lot cheaper. So Lori is here. Hello, Lori. She says I came late. I have to rewatch. But hello.
Hey, Lori.
Rick hits the canal and the dumpsters to supplement his food supply.
Whatever works, Rick. Hey, Rick's like Rick is like 6'5". Rick's like 6'3" or 6'5". He's perfect, slender build. The guy looks like a darn gladiator from back in the day. He's amazing. So whatever Rick's doing is working. I need to try to emulate more of what Rick's doing. That's for sure.
And you know what? So we do talk a lot about eating once a day or twice a day. Here's an example. Rick has been doing this for 41 years and he still eats 3 times a day. And I'm telling you, there's like no fat on this guy. He's thin. He's 6'5". He actually has had trouble trying to gain weight, which is another thing that I think, it's really hard to gain weight when you're eating the standard American diet and so forth. But yeah, I mean, you should go check out his videos. I did an interview with him. Lots of people have interviewed him. He was actually my first interview. It's just amazing to hear a story and how long he's been doing it and how healthy he is. Like I can't remember exactly, but I think he had told me once before he hasn't been to a doctor since was it like in the 90s or something like that?
Because he never gets sick. The early 90s or the late 80s or something. Some crazy
thing. Something like that. Crazy. Oh, there you go. I thought he was 6'5". He's 6'6". There you go. So he's 6'6", 195 pounds. Perfect example, man. 41 years carnivore diet, and he is thriving. At 57 years old. Amazing. There you go. Last doctor's appointment was 1996. Last dental visit was 1986. There you go.
Wow. So, it kind of brings up a point, Brian, talking about Rick being so slim and why he eats 3 meals a day. When I did carnivore, pretty well documented that I've fallen off the wagon twice and had to start over from scratch, which doesn't make me a loser. You're only a loser if you quit, and I refuse to quit. But when I started in July 1st of 2023, on July 1st of 2024, I had gotten down to like 224 pounds. That was the smallest I had been since like 10th grade, and I'm almost 60 years old. I'm 58. I'm a year older than Rick. But when I got down that small, I still had some body fat, but I was ravenously hungry. I was eating 3 times a day and losing weight. Juxtapose that with now, I weighed this morning at 251, and I have plenty of fat, so my body's not having to search and work too hard to find available energy. But when I get down, hopefully when I get down back around the 220 mark, if I find it necessary to eat 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day, I certainly won't shy away from that. Just right now, it's not necessary because my body has a pretty good reserve stored fat that it can burn into and make ketones to keep me going.
Yeah. So let's go back if I could. Sorry. Let's go back to our topic. Carnivore Toolbox. So I gave you a couple of things. Johnny gave you several things. But I know that there's a lot of stuff out there and there's a lot of stuff we didn't talk about. So if you're watching this video, go ahead and drop in the comments something that you do that's kind of like in your carnivore toolbox. And that way we can share it with everybody so everybody else has got that as well. There you go. Rick's first YouTube interview was in August 2022. Wonder, was that Dave Mack, I wonder? Anyway, so when did I interview him? Would have been in 2023, I think. Probably. He was my first interview, but yeah. Papa Carnivore is here. Hello.
Hey, Papa Carnivore.
Oh, there we go. It was Joey Shorts, the person we don't like to name. That's okay. Poor Joey. I wonder what's happened with him. Do you even know who Joey is, Johnny?
I do not. I've heard the name before, and that's the same reaction. So I'm not familiar with the story. Bring me up to speed, Brian.
So Joey was a young carnivore. I think he was like around 18, 19, something like that. He was going to be going to college and stuff. So he had just graduated from high school, I believe. And Professor Bart K had him on his channel, talked him up and so forth. And then something changed like a few months later. And Joey started, boy, I'm trying to remember exactly. He just started getting out there with his things and saying the carnivore wasn't necessarily good anymore. It was just a complete change. And he started like this argument with Bart K and stuff. And so he kind of became the person that the person that we don't really talk about. Here you go. He went raw then fruity. Yeah, he did. He did go raw meat, which is, okay. I see guys out there, women and guys that, do raw. I don't do it myself, but then yes, he did. He did get a little weird out there, and I haven't seen anything recent, so I don't know if he still even does anything. But anyway, that's Joey. Yeah, here we go. What does Lori say? So far, I have no tools in my toolbox. I'm just trying to figure all this out, to eat once a day or twice a day or whatever, or what everybody says, something so different. So let me tell you, Lori, especially if you're just starting out, you want to start out with what you're already doing. So if you come into this already eating 3 times a day, start out eating 3 times a day and, just eat the right foods. And you're going to find most likely that you're going to change as your body gets healthier and so forth. And you're going to want to go down to 2 or something like that. But not everybody does. Rick's perfect example. He still eats 3 times a day and he's been a carnivore for 41 years. Some people I've seen in cases where somebody's had their gallbladder removed, they tend to stay with the smaller meals. So they tend to stay at like 3 meals a day. But don't worry about doing 1 or 2 times. Like right now, I mostly eat 1 meal a day. But when I first started, I kind of started with 2. I mean, I would say for probably at least a good year, I was doing 2, I think. And then I went to 1 for a little bit and I went back to 2. And now I've been doing 1 again for quite a while. But that's me, right? That doesn't mean that that's going to necessarily work well for you. So you got to do what works well for you. Start with the 3 if that's what you were doing, or 4, whatever it is that you were doing when you were eating a standard diet, and just kind of pay attention to your body and do what your body says. You got something you want to add to that, Johnny?
I do. Lori, I just say eat when you're hungry. The problem with most diets, if you will, is that it requires, you got to have willpower. You got to starve yourself. I'm a firm believer that you cannot starve your way to health. It's impossible. So if you're hungry, and I don't mean bored, I mean hungry. If you're really hungry, eat. Eat until you're satiated. I don't care if it's 3 times a day, 4 times a day. If you just want a snack, a carnivore type snack, if that satisfies you. But what you will find is once you transition over from burning carbs to burning fat, if you'll add some more fat into your diet, whether it be fat from the meat or butter or whatever, you'll find, I think naturally, unless you're really, really slim, like Rick has no body fat, so he has no reserves. Me and Brian here, we have some reserves left still, so we can go for a while. But don't be uncomfortable. This is not a starvation plan. This is a nutrition plan. Every diet I did prior to carnivore was a starvation plan. Cut your calories down to 1,200. Cut your calories to 1,300. Work out like a crazy man. Be in a big, huge calorie deficit. And all it does is it changes your metabolism and makes it harder for you to lose the weight once you gain it all back plus, and you always will. So if you're hungry, eat. I don't care if you're 1 month into this or 41 years into this. If you're hungry, if you're truly hungry, eat. Don't be uncomfortable, because when you get uncomfortable, you throw your hands up and say, well, it didn't work. If you're hungry, eat carnivore, and you will never, ever go wrong. And that's been my experience, and that's been the experience of a lot of carnivores that I've spoken to. Don't be hungry. If you're hungry, eat.
Mm-hmm. Well said. She says she's been carnivore for about 2.5 months and has lost 18 pounds so far. So
Wow.
That's great. Great progress.
Yeah.
Papa Carnivore says 1 meal a day seems like starvation, and he eats 2 to 3 meals a day. Yeah, you'll have to see what works for you, you know? When I first started carnivore, I was like, these people are eating 1 meal a day. It's crazy. Like, there's no way I can do that. I like food too much. And I've kind of naturally gotten there, but then again, I can't say that every day I do that, especially if I work out. I might get hungry in the evening and eat again. I try to eat mostly fat in that meal, not as much protein. But you know, it's different for everyone. And something I do is I try to calculate about how much protein I would need for a day, and then I see what that comes out to basically in meat, and that's how I kind of know what to eat for the day. And a lot of times now I'm at the point that I eat all that in one setting before I get full. But then I don't want to eat again. So that's where I'm at now, but that doesn't mean that everybody gets there, you know. That's the beauty, I think, of carnivore, is that there's kind of this basis of how it works. Like, you eat meat, you know, animal products, fatty meat, and from there's so many different ways you can do it based on your body and what your body tells you. Don't neglect your body. Listen to your body and do what it tells you. If you need to eat more, eat more. If you're not hungry, then wait, you know. Let's see. Yep. Rick says, as soon as I wake up, I am thinking of breakfast. I take time off work for lunch and have dinner after my ducky bath. So the ducky bath, I'm assuming we're talking about real ducks here, right? Because the first thing that popped in my head for some crazy reason when I'm reading that is, what was it, from Sesame Street? Bert and Ernie. Who's the guy? Was it Ernie that would sit there with the little ducky, the rubber ducky in his bath? I don't know why that popped in my head, but it just did. That just shows you how childish I can be, I guess. Oh,
and I will say, Brian, I will say one thing to Papa Carnivore. He said that, 1 meal a day sounds like starvation, and that's the way I felt, at first too. But like, my wife and I went to breakfast yesterday morning. There's a local restaurant here called Breakfast Time, and they only serve breakfast and lunch. And they have real butter, they have pasture-raised eggs, and they have pretty good sausage. So I got a 4-egg omelet with a bacon and sausage and smoked sausage in it. And then I had 3 strips of smoked sausage to go with that. And I ended up having a cup of coffee and then some water. That was, I think we left at 11:30. So I finished at 11:30 yesterday morning. And at 3 o'clock this afternoon, I really, really wasn't that hungry, but I knew if I waited until late tonight, I might be hungry. So I fixed the 1 pound of ground beef, the eggs, the bacon, and set it down in a bowl and was ready to munch out on it. And after about half of it, I could put it in my mouth and chew. I just could not bring myself to swallow. I was full, and I won't eat again until tomorrow. But now if I got hungry, I would eat. It's just, I'm so fat adapted lately within the last really 3 weeks. I think my body has finally completely crossed over to burning the ketone bodies, the fats for ketones, that, I'm not getting that leptin signal saying, hey, you're hungry, because I still have all of this to burn off yet. But if I were
Yeah.
hungry, I would eat. I'm not averse to eating. I'd eat 5 times a day if I'm hungry. When I got down to 224 pounds last year, I ate 4 times in one day. It was all carnivore, but I was just, I'm not going to be hungry. I'm not going to be uncomfortable, because that's when people give up. And I'm not doing the starvation thing ever again. I'm going to feed my body nutrition, the nutrition that it needs, so that I can enjoy good health for the rest of my days.
I'm going to catch us up on some comments here. Lori said she still has 60 pounds to go. So she mentioned she lost 18 pounds, I believe it was, right? So she's doing good. That's like what? 1/5 of the way so far in like 2.5 months. That's pretty good. I'm sure at some point you're going to see the weight loss kind of slow down a little bit, because that happens. You might see time periods where it slows down and then it speeds back up and so forth. So don't get discouraged when that kind of stuff happens. But you're doing great. So let's see here. So Cynthia is here. Hello, good to see you. So Rick says, how many calories in 6 pounds of meat, 2 to 4 eggs, and a cup of yogurt a day? Wow, you're eating 6 pounds of meat. So I gotta tell you, I don't pay any attention at all to calories. I don't believe in the whole calorie thing and the calorie in, calorie out thing. So I couldn't even tell you how much it is. It's a lot. And
5,400. It's about, because I looked at it today. I have 85.15 ground beef, which is a little leaner than I'd like, but that's where I can get a good price. That's the one that's on sale. So 85.15 ground beef, the grass-fed, grass-finished, was 240 calories per serving. So quarter pound a serving. So 240 for 960. So 960 calories per pound times 6 pounds is 6,000 calories. There's about 70 calories per egg. So if you have 2 eggs, that's another 140. And then the yogurt's probably, if it's full fat, it's probably 200 calories in the yogurt. So probably around 7,000 calories there, Rick. Between 6 and 7,000 calories.
That's a lot of meat, man. 6 pounds of meat.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, this is why everybody's different, right? And I'll tell you, like, Rick is active. He's pretty active. So that's got to be taken into consideration. But I know I've talked to him before, and he's like, man, I try to eat as much as I can, and I can't gain weight. And I can tell you, like, I can gain weight easily. Usually it's by not eating carnivore foods or eating dairy or something like that, which is borderline for carnivore, right? Some people do it, some people don't. But yeah, everybody's different. Oh, and here we go. D. Lee says, I eat 2 meals a day. Everyone's different. So there you go. See?
Exactly.
Everyone's different. Oh, sorry. So back to my Bert and Ernie. Rick says he has a bag of rubber duckies in his bathroom. He's the rubber duckies in my bathtub. So now I'm going to have this picture. I'm going to have Rick's face on Ernie's head, thinking of the next time I'm saying next time I watch Sesame Street. I don't have young kids anymore, so I don't think I'll ever watch Sesame Street again, but it'll still be in my head. Thanks a lot. Cynthia says, Brian, are you still sick? What are you doing to treat the cough? So yeah, I know you joined a little late. So again, Saturday, I think I overdid it. I was outside 8-9 hours doing a lot of work outside, pretty much nonstop. And Saturday night into Sunday, I started feeling worse again, and it just wasn't getting better. It seemed like it was getting worse throughout the week. So I went to urgent care, and it turns out I have a sinus infection and bronchitis. So that's where I'm at right now. And I'm probably, after we're done with this live stream, to be honest, I'm probably going to go to bed, because I worked all day today too. I'm tired. The cough right now is not as bad as it was, so I'm hoping that it's getting better. But the sad news is I'm not working out this week, so it's messing up my 60-day workout transformation. But I'm staying away from working out just trying to relax a little bit and get over this sickness. So yeah, and that's, you know what, perfect example to tell you everyone's different. Yes, it is possible to get sick on the carnivore diet. Oh, let's see. Let me catch us up again. Yes, I agree. You're doing great, Lori. 18 pounds in 2.5 months, like we said. She's doing really good. What does Papa say here? I had a giant T-bone steak with lots of cold butter pieces, chunks, and topped with Malden's smoked sea salt flakes and some cold cocktail crab meat. That sounds good. Sounds really good. What did I eat today? I had, I guess maybe with the sickness, I'm not as hungry because I normally eat like 1.5 pounds or so, sometimes even up to 2 pounds of meat, of beef usually. I had a little over 1 pound of ground beef I made into a couple burger patties. I think I add a little bit of butter on top at the end, and that's it. That's all I've ate today. So that's a little bit different for me. Here you go. Rick uses 7327 ground beef cooked in a pot so the fat cannot escape. Yeah, I like to do that when I make the burger patties. I'll put them in a cast iron pan. I've been getting the 75-25 ground beef, and that works really well. And then, so once the burger patties are cooked, I put them in a bowl and I empty all the fat back on top so they're nice and juicy. Rick eats cheese. Yep. For some reason, whenever I eat a decent amount of cheese, it makes me either stall or gain like 1 pound or something. So everybody's different.
Yeah, cream cheese has kind of become a dessert for me. I find myself sometimes when I get through eating, I'll just cut off a chunk of that Philadelphia cream cheese. I guess in my mind it's some type of dessert. It's just the standard. It's not flavored or anything. But I've been stuck at 251 pounds for about 3 weeks. So maybe I need to put the Philadelphia cream cheese back in the fridge and leave it alone and see what happens.
Yeah. So the good old Sesame Street. Yeah, I did go with the Bert and Ernie there. And Rick called me out on it.
Bert used to sing some kind of song when he was in the tub. Didn't he sing a song when he was in the tub with those ducks?
Something about Rubber Ducky, wasn't it? Like, yeah, Rubber Ducky, you're the one for me, or something. I don't know. Rick says he gets sick about 3 times a year. So it happens to all of us. Yeah. Even Rick, 41 years carnivore, gets sick sometimes. I have a feeling he probably doesn't get that sick. He probably gets cold or something and he's good. But knowing Rick. Here's Papa. Carnivore says, I've only gotten sick 1 time in the last 2.5 years since I went carnivore. I got the flu for a week 1.5 years ago. So the last time I can remember being sick before this really was about a year ago. I went on a cruise and turned out that a lot of people got the flu on the cruise and I got the flu. But it wasn't horribly bad. So I will say that. We have a question here from Cynthia. Did you watch the video that Nick Norwitz made about if you were do a fat fast, it would be comparable to that dreaded sugar diet? I think Dr. Baker said the same thing. Do you want to answer this first, and then I'll because I got some thoughts on this too, but I'll give you the chance to answer first.
So I haven't seen that video, but I did see a little short that Dr. Baker did about that. I guess essentially, your body takes protein, especially excess protein, and uses a process called gluconeogenesis. Your body will make glucose out of protein. So my assumption is if you eliminate protein, either through the sugar diet, which I do not recommend, or a high fat diet by restricting your protein, your body's going to make less glucose through gluconeogenesis. So I think that's the crux of it. Yeah, I might try that because I eat a lot of butter. I mean, if sometimes when I'm cooking my food, I'll eat a half stick of butter while I'm cooking my food, and then the rest of it will go into the food. So I would not be averse to trying a fat fast and reducing my protein for just 3 or 4 days to see if I could drop, 8 or 10 pounds pretty quickly because of the reduced glucose, because of, reduced gluconeogenesis.
Yeah. And I was gonna say definitely Dr. Baker did a video on this, and Rick said it too. So let me go back up here to this question. So I have not seen Nick's video about it or anything, but what's her name? My Zero Carb Life.
Kelly Hogan.
Yes, Kelly Hogan. She has talked about this for years, actually, for at least a few years. And she'll do these fat fasts where she'll do like a couple days or something where she's just basically eating fat. Dr. Baker did the video, and I watched his video. He did 3 days, and I think he lost 8 pounds or 10 pounds. I think it was 8 pounds. And he's a big guy, and he was able to still do his workouts and everything. So you can do them over a couple days. Now, he came out right out and said, like, this is not something I would do more than for a couple days type thing. But he showed how, yeah, you can lose weight quickly other ways instead of taking in something bad like sugar. And it's kind of the same thing as you were saying, it does have to do with you're not really eating much protein in the gluconeogenesis. How you talked about that's all part of that. So, yeah, I've thought for a while that would be a good thing to do, even if it was only like for a day or two, just to do like some sort of a fat fast. I've never done one to this point. I don't know. I just like eating my steaks, but I probably will try it at some point because I really should try and lose a little bit more body fat. I feel pretty healthy, pretty good, except for the sickness I got going on right now. But, I really do have a little bit of belly fat that I still need to get rid of. So that's something I'll probably try at some point. Rick does say yes, the Rubber Ducky song. I kind of remember it. I just don't remember it all the way. And I know I can't find it and play it because we're going to get a copyright strike or something if we do that. So I don't know. But as soon as we're done with this, I'm probably going to go find it on YouTube.
Make a short
Rick
out of it
also
or something. Superimpose Rick's head on something and make a short out of it.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's what we got to do. Rick said when he gets sick, it's like a 3-day thing, headache, a lot of sneezing, but not much coughing. Yeah, the cough has really got me this time. I guess it makes sense if I have bronchitis. So, yep, it was 8 pounds in 3 days by Dr. Baker. So let's see. Cynthia says, I'm planning on cycling every other week between fat fasting and my normal carnivore eating since I don't have GI problems with higher fat. Yep, that's cool. I actually, today I made, for the first time, brown butter bites. So they were in the freezer, and that's something I'm just going to see how they are. I just took a little taste, and it tasted fine to me. But that's something like Dr. Baker in his fast, he made brown butter bites, and that was one of the things that he did. He did that and like eggs or something. So there was very low protein, very high fat. So that's something you can do. It's not necessarily rendered fat. So it'd be interesting to see, like, if you eat that, if you normally would, from having too much liquidy fat, if you would still have a problem with something like a brown butter bites. I don't know. That's something I'd have to see. Lori says, I saw that short as well, and in 4 days I think he lost 8 pounds, and he did all the same physical exercise. Yeah, he usually does. He even said that he felt just as good, if not better than normal. So that was crazy. Yeah. I don't know that Rick can possibly lose weight anymore at this point. He says he never went to lose weight.
I would like to get Rick on my Hume body scale. That new body scale, impedance scale that I bought. It's called the Body Pod. I bet his body fat percentage is probably 3 or 4%. Probably whatever the bare minimum is, and his muscle, because he's 6'6", so he's probably got 200 pounds of muscle and, you know, all connective tissue and everything. I would love to see his printout on one of those body pods. I might send it to you, Rick, and then you send it back. I'll pay for postage both ways. I don't want to put you out, but that would be cool to see his, you know, all the data that it gave me if you saw my video on that, to see Rick and see how much muscle each arm and each leg has in his trunk and how little fat that guy has from head to toe.
There you go. He says, interesting idea. I think he's on board.
Yeah.
So Papa Carnivore is asking if you have a channel. You do. Let me see. It's at excuse me. At the Carnivore Champion.
PHE. Yeah.
So I'm gonna put this down here and then I'll put it on the screen. All right. So let me, here you go. At the Carnivore Champion. So that is Johnny's channel. Check it out.
Yeah, check me out. I tend to talk about carnivore, talk about some of the challenges that come with carnivore. And I usually show my workouts. I'm real big into sprints. I'm as addicted to sprinting as I am to the carnivore way of eating. Sprinting at 58 years old. I don't know if you know this, Papa Carnivore, but I live in a-fib. I'm in chronic a-fib, so I'm in atrial fibrillation right now. I have an artificial hip on my left side, so I'm a pretty beat up, old, raggedy guy. But I have found that sprinting is, it gives me a feeling like you wouldn't believe. And I'm not fast. I mean, obviously I'm probably faster than most 58-year-olds, but not Dr. Baker. He could kill me. But I've just fallen in love with skipping rope, doing sprints, push-ups, and lifting weights. And so my videos tend to show my workout, and then I have a little topic that I'll talk about. So I hope you enjoy it. Hope you come check me out, subscribe, and like my videos. And I hope you enjoy. I've kind of, Brian, what's your thought on this? We'll put this out there. So artificial intelligence, AI, is taking over a lot of things. Well, one way I found that I enjoy using AI is there's these AI song making platforms that you can go to. And I started making AI songs about the carnivore diet. And I put those as background music in my videos. And I don't get a copyright strike from YouTube because they're technically my songs. I paid a couple of dollars per song, and, you know, join the little thing or whatever. So I can put those on there because I have put music on my videos before that was copyright free, but I got a message from YouTube saying I was being demonetized. It wasn't a strike, but the artist that made the music didn't want anybody to profit from it. So by doing this AI music, I can kind of tailor it to the carnivore diet or running sprints or being 58 years old and trying to, you know, fight father time as hard as I can. And anyway, there's a lot of fun. What are your thoughts on that, Brian, using AI for music or for stuff on our videos?
Well, if I can talk. Yeah, I think I like it better as a music thing than people using AI in like their videos and like, you know, like YouTube does have a thing like that. There's when you put out a video, you have to select if you used AI with something and so forth. Because the thing that kind of scares me is like you see where people will take celebrities and they'll have some sort of AI that they did with a video. And let's just say Tom Cruise, because I've seen this one out there. It's not even him, but it looks like him. And people then think that he said this thing and he really didn't.
Yeah.
So, man, so I get where that's a problem. But sure. in music, I think that's perfectly fine. And I actually like your music, that the songs that you've had in these last few videos. I think they've been pretty good.
I appreciate it.
I hope you can't hear when I lean back. Do you still hear my cough when I lean back?
A little bit.
I hope not.
It's not too bad.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Let me catch up a couple comments here I want to put up. Rick says his sinuses are always acting up, and he thinks that's what protects him from respiratory infections. Could be. And then when you were talking about sprints, D. Lee says sprints are great. Rick,
Love it.
Rick says he needs to make his sprinting video. It's fast.
I'm come down to Florida and race you, Rick. We'll have a race.
I want to
I'll bring
see
my
what
scale,
Rick's
too.
sprinting video is. Here you go. Lori was talking about your video today. Go ahead and talk for me.
Lori, you watched my video today. I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, on this AI music platform, you just tell it what you're thinking, or a few 4 or 5 words. So I put carnivore sprinting, 58-year-old man, trying to fight off, the effects of time, father time, or whatever. And then you hit, and you can tell it if you want rock or pop or country or hip hop or whatever genre you want. And then what kind of mood you're in. Are you melancholy? Are you feeling aggressive or whatever? You put all that information in there. You click go, and it takes 60 seconds, and it makes you 2 songs. The words are the same in each song. It's just the melody and the arrangement's a little bit different. But it blows me away that in 1 minute it will make an entire song with the lead guitar, the drums, the keyboard, the vocals, the backup vocals, and it sounds amazing. And I think I paid $1.87 a song or something. It's dirt cheap. And I try to say on my videos that, hey, this is an AI song that I made using AI, but it's just the song. The sprints are me. The person talking is me. If I do push-ups or skip rope, that's all me. I'm not AI in any of that stuff, because I want to show what I can do at 58 by using the carnivore diet as a foundation for good health. But the songs, if I tried to sing, no one would, I would lose 2,000 subscribers like that. So I put those AI songs on there to keep from getting a copyright strike from YouTube. Brian, I'd say this YouTube thing, man, it's essentially another full-time job. I spend hours and hours and hours a week putting together YouTube stuff. And it doesn't pay a whole lot of money at this point. Maybe one day in the future it will. But for me, I'm just trying to find some other 50-something-year-old guy or gal out there that's kind of given up on life. They've accepted the fact that their life is just going to go downhill from this point forward. And I'm trying to show them there is a better way, and it starts with a proper human diet. That's my whole shtick. If I've never made a dime off YouTube, that's okay. As long as I know somebody says, hey, John or Johnny, I watched your video and I was inspired. And I get at least 1 or 2 of those comments about every video. And so that's my payoff right there.
Yeah.
But thank you, Lori, for watching my video. And she comments on almost all my videos, her and Cynthia as well. So I really do appreciate you guys. It means the world to me.
Yeah. So Papa says, where are the other comments coming from? So we can see the comments from both channels, but we're both streaming on our own channels, right? So Johnny's is at the Carnivore Champion, as you can see by his name. I just have Brian by my name. But mine is at Wicavore, as you can see here. My channel is known as Wick Goes Carnivore, but the actual name, I guess, that you would go to is at Wicavore. So those are our channels: at Wicavore for me, at the Carnivore Champion. So some people are watching on his channel, some people are watching on my channel, and because of that, depending on which channel you're on, the comments you're seeing. That's why I try and bring up as many of the comments as possible here, for everybody to see. There's actually, you know what? Let me try this. There's a thing about where it says show comments. I think you can do this now. Let me try this.
Oh, that's a new feature they just came up with, right?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Probably it's just going to show new stuff. And I think I have you in the way right now. Oh, what did I do? That's not what I wanted to do.
Knock me
What
out
happened
there.
to Johnny? I know it. What happened? There he is. Okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he says I'm watching this on Johnny's Carnivore channel.
Oh, thank you.
And mine is wherever I put it. Here we go. At Wicavore is mine. Wick Carnivore. At Wicavore. So those are the two channels.
Brian, you see the comment that Papa Carnivore left? Looks like it's 909, where he talks about he's 63 and he does 100 push-ups. Can you see that?
Yeah, let me go to one more right before that one. Hold on.
Oh, sure.
And then we'll go to that one. Okay.
Mm.
So Cynthia says you should check out JJ and Eric. They have a cute song that he did as an intro to his lives. He used AI also.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's something we should probably do, Johnny. Is we need to use your AI to do a song for us for our intro.
I'll do it. I'll do it tomorrow or tonight, and I'll send it to you.
Cool. All right, we'll have it for next week then. All right, so let's see. What does Pop Carnivore say? Johnny, I'm 6'3" and do 100 push-ups, walk 5 miles every morning. I'm 63, not 6'3". I'm sorry, 63 years old. And do sprinting during my walks. I also do grounding after my walk. I take off my shoes, walk in the grass. I love grounding too.
I do too.
That is great. Let's see here. Where were we? So we talked about my channel. Yeah. Rick goes on to both channels. Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. Carnivore Junkie. I think that's the first comment I've seen from you. So hello, at least today.
Hello.
So hello, good to see you here. I had homemade ice cream over the weekend and I feel like crap. Bad cough, headache, like all the flu symptoms. Last time I did that, went to urgent care, had upper respiratory infection. So I'm curious, the homemade ice cream, is that like normal ice cream then that has sugar in it? Or was it like the Kilt's carnivore ice cream? I'm curious. Let's see. Rick says, I would have to make a theme that has my 50-60 sound. Yep. I think that catches me up for the most part on comments right now. If you have a question, yes, go ahead.
Have you ever done the Kilt's ice cream? Have you had that yet?
I have. I actually did a review. I have a video reviewing it. And so let me start by saying I love Dr. Kilt's. Great guy. Carnivore ice cream probably is just not my thing. I did it and it worked. It was okay, but I'm not necessarily an ice cream person. I don't really necessarily crave ice cream. So it was just okay. And it might be something I might have every once in a while or something, but I don't know. I'd rather just eat a steak, to be honest, or ground beef or something. So, it worked. It was completely carnivore. It was okay. It wasn't. Yeah. But then again, I'm not a big ice cream person. Somebody that's a big ice cream person, or somebody that wants a lot more variation, they might be into it. I'm perfectly fine with eating beef every day. Really, occasionally I'll have some chicken or pork, but obviously I have eggs, sometimes bacon, that kind of stuff. But I don't change up very often. And when I do, it's usually because I'm like, you know what? I see people doing this. I want to try it. And then I can talk about it on my channel. So I just did that recently with the chaffles that I was talking about that I made, the egg and cheese, like a waffle type thing. So yeah, that's kind of where I am with that. Let's see. So Papa Carnivore says ice cream rips his stomach up pretty bad, stays away from it. Rick says he hates ice cream. See, everybody's different. Rick says he can eat the whole tub of sour cream. He loves sour cream. So Papa says ice cream is delicious, but he has problems with it.
Yeah.
Rick's ducks won't eat the ice cream. So yeah. So yeah, I don't know. What about you with when it comes to ice cream? Yeah, have you tried that ice cream, the carnivore ice
Yeah,
cream?
I've made it a couple times. Just use a regular hand blender. I don't have the Ninja thing, the creamy or whatever. Although I thought about getting one, but I made it last summer. You know, you and I both live well, I live further south than you do, and like today it was like 90 something degrees, and it's not uncommon for it to get 95 degrees here. And my wife enjoys a bowl of regular ice cream from time to time, and so I made the carnivore ice cream, and I thought it was a solid 6.5 on a 1 to 10 scale. It wasn't terrible, but she didn't like it. I let her try it. She didn't like it at all because it didn't have a lot of flavor like you would expect ice cream to have. But I did flirt last time. I put like a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract in there, and it helped a little bit. And that's a tiny amount. And I had a gracious plenty. I think I had 8 egg yolks and a cup or whatever it was, maybe a cup and a half of the heavy whipping cream. And that little bit of vanilla extract, which I know is not carnivore, don't shoot me, but actually it's pretty good. But like you, I've kind of gotten to where now I've even eliminated seasoning. I'm just doing beef, salt, eggs, bacon, and water, and it's working out pretty well. Not to say I won't make the ice cream again in the future, maybe, but I've kind of got things so streamlined right now that I don't want to bring in a lot of extra stuff. And I do eat a lot of sour cream. I'm like Rick. I had probably 4 tablespoons of sour cream today.
Yeah. I don't have that much sour cream actually. I like to use butter, but actually I think the video that I came out with earlier today, I used bacon grease in my cast iron for the steak. That was really good. It kind of gave it a bit of like a bacony taste and everything. That was really good that way. So I like to use bacon grease or butter usually. But I'm not very big on sour cream for some reason. Like I'll do it sometimes, but I'm just not. I don't know. Let's see. Carnivore Junkie says it had all the real sugar and crap in it. Okay. It was a family reunion and couldn't say no, but really regretting it now. I have all the symptoms you have. Yeah. The last time I got sick, I was talking about when I went on that cruise. So I also noticed something that time. The one night I had a couple drinks, and I don't really drink alcohol, but I noticed that I woke up the next morning with a sinus infection, or at least sinus is bothering me. I didn't go to a doctor to get it checked. That was a sinus infection. And thinking about it, the last few times that I have drinking alcohol, which isn't very often in the last couple of years, but when I tend to get a sinus infection after it. So yeah, there's certain things that definitely affect me. I probably could have a little bit of regular ice cream and not feel sick, but that just shows the differences, from one person to another. And if I go and have alcohol, I get like sinus infection, and there's other people that probably don't get that. So it's weird, but that's what happens to me. Cynthia asked if you've even tried to give ice cream to the ducks, and Rick says yes, he's offered them and they did not want it. So there you go. Let me catch up again. Let's see. I think I might be kind of caught up here. Oh, Papa Carnivore found my channel. That's great. Thank you. No, Brian's channel. Share the love right between our channels.
That's right. Exactly.
Papa says I had Kills ice cream with Dr. Kills at his house in Sarasota the night before the Tampa meetup. There you go. That's even better, right? Yep. He says you can add vanilla if you want. Maybe that would give it a little flavor. I don't think I did in mine. I have to go back and look at the video. I don't think I added the vanilla because I just wanted to try and keep it carnivore, if I remember correctly. Rick said before he went carnivore, he was very susceptible to sore throats. After he went carnivore, no more sore throats.
That's funny because
Papa
I've
can't
experienced the
remember.
same thing. I haven't had a sore throat since I went carnivore. I just, as Rick was saying that, it had occurred to me. I haven't had a sore throat in 3 years, and I used to get strep throat,
Mm.
like clockwork. Wow, I just realized that.
Yeah. Papa says he can't remember the last time he drank alcohol. I remember the last time I did because that was on the cruise a year ago. It was a big mistake, but that was the last time I drank alcohol. So what did Rick do? I'm not sure where this came from. Rick, how can you remember from that so long ago? What did he remember from so long ago? I don't know. I missed it somewhere. Oh well.
Yeah.
Brian, have you watched my interviews with Dave Mack and with Carrie? I don't know. I've watched a lot of Dave Mack ones. I probably have, unless it was more recent, because I haven't watched a whole lot of YouTube more recently. But I might have.
I'm pretty sure I saw the one with you and Dave Mack. I haven't seen the one with Carrie yet. I'd love to watch that one. I'll go look. Is it on your channel, Papa Carnivore? I'll go look it up.
So Rick got awful tonsil stones. What are tonsil stones?
I guess that's part of the reason why people get their tonsils removed. It's a growth that gets hardened. It gets on, either on or in the tonsils, and that's one of the reasons. That's one of the main reasons people get their tonsils removed.
Okay.
Very painful.
So I got my tonsils removed when I was a kid, but I don't remember ever hearing about tonsil stones. I don't know. I used to get sore throats all the time when I was a kid, and I had my tonsils removed. But here you go. The title on the thumbnail of the Dave Mack video is "Doctor Never Told Me." That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I think I did see that video.
Yep.
Tonsil stones are those horrible, stinky white things. Okay, I don't know. And then here we go. The one on Carrie's channel, it's called "Lost 101 Pounds." So I don't know. I haven't watched a whole lot of Carrie's channel, to be honest. I know he gets a lot of views and so forth. I just haven't watched a lot of his channel. So I probably didn't see it off of his. Matter of fact, I'm trying to think. I think the last interview I really remember off of Carrie's channel was what was that guy's name? The guy that he started going out to different people's homes and asking if they could cook a steak for them. Do you remember that guy? I can't remember his name. JT, yes.
JT. Yeah.
Yes. That's probably the last interview I saw on Carrie's channel. John Laspina, carnivore teacher, also interviewed me. He also interviewed Rick the Duck Man. I think everybody has interviewed Rick at this point. He's like the best person to interview. He really is. It's so easy to interview him. I mean, that was like my first interview I ever did when I interviewed him. And I was probably horrible at it, but he made it so easy, very smooth, keep the conversation going and so forth. Says JT disappeared. Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything. So I don't know.
No, he fell off the planet. That'd be a topic we could discuss one day. Like, why are they now? Because there were so many people like JT, like Who's Your Carnivore, like Intentional Carnivore, Carnivore Backwoods. I mean, you can name, a couple of handfuls of people that were on here and doing really well and getting views and doing well with their health. A lot of them seem to have, for whatever reason, maybe this became too much, because like you and I were talking about earlier, this is like doing a YouTube thing is like a full-time job. And, life happens, people like JT's young, he's got a kid, he's married and got a little kid. So I can appreciate when people say, you know what, the return on time, the return of investment on time is almost zero. So when people step away from doing YouTube, I just hope that they continue to work on their health. When I disappeared for a little while, it's because I was ashamed to get on camera and everybody see how much weight I'd gained. But now I find that actually being on camera helps me to be accountable. Like I have,
it does.
I think I got 2,675 subscribers, and it's 2,675 accountability partners that I have.
Yeah, it definitely helps with my accountability too. Rick isn't loved on the big popular carnivore channels. They fear him.
I like watching Rick's. He does a Saturday morning live or a Sunday morning live, and when I'm at work, I work every weekend, and I'll pop in on his live if we're between patients or we're sitting still somewhere on the ambulance. And so I pop in on Rick's pretty much every weekend. I try to, Rick. Even if I don't comment, you can usually see that I'm there watching. But Rick does some really neat lives. He's got an old rotary telephone, and you can call him on his telephone. He'll talk to you on the telephone while he's live on YouTube. So Rick is for as smart as he is with technology today, he still embraces some of the older technology, like a rotary telephone. You can call him. He has the number on the bottom of the screen. You can call him on this rotary phone and have a conversation with him, and people hear you and hear him on the YouTube. So it's really, really fun to watch Rick. Rick's he is a blessing to this community. The fact that he's 41 years strong doing carnivore, but he also brings a lot of levity to this space, and he's just a good person.
Yeah. So Carnivore Kip changed the name of his channel to Kip More because he's no longer carnivore. So I haven't watched a video recently, but I remember when he said he was changing it. If I remember correctly, part of why he was changing was because people were getting on him. First of all, one, because he was failing a lot and having to get started over again. But also, if he ate something that he shouldn't, like, he was getting a lot of bad comments. And, some people have a hard time with the comments that come in. I try and ignore the bad comments, but that does affect people. And I think that's part of why he did that. The last I knew, I thought he was still pretty much carnivore, but I could be wrong on that because I haven't watched video recently. But I think he's still trying to do carnivore. He's just, struggling at times with it. Let's put it that way. Oh, I think we just lost Johnny. So hopefully he'll be back here. Rick has a terrific Saturday AM live stream, and he goes on for hours. Yep. Does. Oh, Johnny's coming back here, I think. Yeah. Here we go. He's back. There we go. Cynthia says, that reminds me, Brian, you said that Randy from the Ground Beef Guy is still active. Where is he at? I wouldn't mind checking in with him again. He was on Facebook, at least. It may have been a month or so since I've seen him post on there, but it could be that Facebook is just not showing me, in my feed, his posts. But I did see him on Facebook not too long ago, at least a month or two ago. And I think he was posting in somebody's carnivore group. Yeah.
Randy and I, the Ground Beef Guy, we did a 5K together about a year and a half ago. Me and him, it was both of our first ever 5K. It was up in the mountains of North Carolina. And he's a good friend of mine. I still see him on Facebook. I know for a while he was very active on Instagram. I don't do Instagram anymore. I couldn't keep up with everything, so I kind of did away with Instagram. But Randy's still a good guy. I still see him on Facebook from time to time. He's my buddy. He's one of the ones I've actually met in person, and we interacted outside of YouTube and Instagram for a little while. He's just a good guy. He's a truck driver as well. So
yeah, okay. I do remember he was a truck driver. Yeah. Greg's out there. How's it going, fellas? Good to see you, Greg. Okay, here we go. I think Kip is still basically carnivore. People are mean to him. Yeah, he for some reason he gets a lot of mean comments in his videos. And I don't know if it's just because he still has a lot of weight to lose and he struggles with it or what, but he does seem to get a lot of mean people on comments. And I got to tell you, I try not to let it bother me, but if it's a really mean comment, I don't have time for it. I just remove them from my channel. They don't need to watch my channel if they're going to be like that. So maybe it's holding me back in a way, and I don't get as many views because of it. But most times it might be a bot or it might be a vegan that's just messing with me anyway. So I just remove them from my channel. They can never watch my videos again. Who cares? Let's see. What else we got? Maybe I need to eat a mango in a video to get more views. You need to eat like a bunch of them and talk about the sugar diet. Then you're going to get a lot of views, right? God, these people that are doing that, it's crazy. There are so many people like in the keto community too that are now doing it, and they're talking about, yeah, I lost weight, whatever, and it's insane. Like, there's so many different ways you can lose weight. Bart K likes to talk about this. This is even better than the sugar diet. You can lose weight instantly. All you got to do is cut off your legs. You're going to lose weight. The point being, just because you can lose weight doesn't mean it's the right thing to do and it's the healthy way to go. I think everybody knows that eating a lot of sugar is not good for you. And they'll come back and they'll say stuff like, oh, my A1C is the same or even better. So, well, here's the problem. You're eating a lot of fructose, and fructose doesn't show up in the A1C. So you're doing a measurement that's not going to show what is really happening inside your body. But I don't want to get into a whole rant. It's already 9:30. I don't want to go into a whole rant about that. But yeah. Oh boy. Sugar diet. Killing me. Aaron Edwards disappeared. Who is Aaron Edwards? I don't remember them. Was that before my time? Because I've only been around for a few years.
I don't recognize the name.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Rick never blocks or hides the trolls. He enjoys them. Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, if they don't say anything that bad, whatever, But if they like get really vulgar or something, I'm just removing them.
I've got a person that comments on a lot of my videos, Brian, and they're very supportive. I take it they're probably from the vegan or the vegetarian world, because they keep saying you should try a more balanced diet, eat this, but they're very supportive of me. And it's okay that they don't eat the same way I eat. They're apparently having good success with their diet, but they're always talking about that I'm looking better. They can tell I've lost weight. They enjoy watching my exercises and stuff. And I don't mind that. They're trying to give me what they feel like in their heart is constructive criticism. And then I'll point out all the health benefits I've had from this way. But yeah, I welcome comments from people from other communities, as long as, like I say, as long as they don't get vulgar or call me, and they can call me whatever they want me. I got broad shoulders. I'm a big guy. I can take it. But I do have some people that I'm pretty sure are either vegan or vegetarian that are actually complimentary of my workouts and things like that. They just agree with my way of eating, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. See, I was just selecting some comments to look at here. Aaron Edwards is the vegan who went carnivore. There's actually quite a few, I think, that were vegan and now carnivore. Bella, steak and butter gal, she used to be vegan. That's one I can think of right away. I don't know who Aaron Edwards is. I'm gonna have to look him up. He says he's got a channel. I'm gonna have to look it up. Greg is just trying to get under my skin right now because he says he's gonna try the sugar diet, and I know he's not gonna really try the sugar diet. But let's see. The sugar diet is becoming a bigger thing. I think that the big food is backing these influencers. I think it's possible too. I've heard other people say that. Anthony here is just trying to butter me up.
There was a big controversy that came out a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, where a lot of these health influencers were actually being paid by PepsiCo and Coca-Cola, and they weren't disclosing that. And that was a pretty big deal. There were registered dietitians, and there were, influencers in the health space, and come to find out they were actually getting money, getting paid by some of the big food companies.
Yeah. Sugar diet will be over by the fall. Well, for the people that are doing it, I hope so, because they're probably doing damage right now. So that's crazy. Huh. Yeah. I don't believe you're going to do sugar diet, Greg. You want to read this one? Johnny, can you read this one?
Sure. It says Bart Slay, which I think is supposed to be Bart K. Our Bart Slay did a funny reaction video today where these two idiots were trying to say how great the sugar diet is. Papa Carnivore, are you trying to say Bart K, or was that a euphemism that he, a name he came up with for his channel? Bart K. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was.
I got to be honest with you, Brian. Yeah. I got to be honest with you. Prior to going carnivore, I was on the sugar diet. I mean, I was eating donuts and honey buns and candy bars all day, every day. And it didn't work out very well for me. It put me in a-fib, caused me to have a heart attack, caused me to have arthritis, had to have a joint replaced, was just in a terrible way. So I did basically the sugar diet and the seed oil diet. I did it for years and years and years, and it did not work out too well for me.
Yeah. It's the same thing for me. I used to eat quite a bit of sugar or carbs in general that break down as glucose in your body. And I got a-fib, right? I had all kinds of joint pain and stuff like that. So it didn't work out for me either, let me tell you. And I'm now basically 3 years without an a-fib episode. So sugar definitely affected me badly with that. Rick says he's sponsored by Big Iguanas. I want to see a big iguana. That sounds like a good Godzilla type of movie. Cynthia says she looked up Aaron Edwards and it doesn't look like he's posted anything in over a year. Here we go. I'm sponsored by Big T-Bones.
There you go. Hey, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of a-fib, I'm actually going to see my electrophysiocardiologist Friday. I got to go get labs drawn Friday morning, and then Friday afternoon I'm going to my electrophysiocardiologist, and we might discuss doing another ablation or something, because I'm still in a-fib. But my thought process is, if you anybody watches my videos, I'm working out like crazy. I'm sleeping good. I'm feeling good. I'm losing weight. I don't know that having another ablation, anytime you go under anesthesia, there's a risk involved in that, right? Plus they go up through your groin and go up into your heart and mess around up there. But I'm just going to get his opinion. And he's actually, when I saw him 3 years ago, he told me, he closed the door and very quietly said, "I'm doing keto, but don't tell anybody." And he's my cardiologist. He may be doing carnivore now, but he was very receptive to a low carb way of life. And so we'll find out Friday just get his input. Is it worth me addressing this a-fib, considering that I feel the best I've ever felt in my life right now, to be honest with you. But, well, I'll have more news on that next week, I guess. We'll see what he says and what his recommendations are. It does suck still being an a-fib, but I mean, the big concern is blood clots. And so I do take a blood thinner. I take Eliquis. That's the only medicine I take, and I do take it every day. And my risk for blood clots is very low because my health is so good right now. But I would love to get off the blood thinner. So if I can get out of a-fib, then we can get off the blood thinners. But anyway, so that's just a little aside about a-fib and me. In about 48 hours, I'll have more information.
Yeah. And so we had a question here: is a-fib caused by sugar? In some cases, it is. I don't believe it is in Johnny's case because he's not eating any sugar and he's still not getting out of a-fib, right? I think that mine was definitely affected by overload of insulin. And I've heard Dr. Berry talk about I believe it's the vagus nerve up here, that too much sugar can cause that nerve to give incorrect signals to your heart. And I think that might be part of what was happening with me. So it definitely can. And then Papa also said in here, and he put probably better than I can. He said sugar causes glycation of the cells, inflammations. This can definitely contribute to AFib. So yeah.
Right.
And then Rick asked, how would you know if you have AFib? So I'll let you answer this, but really quick for me, I'm going to say when I first had it, I didn't know. I kind of came to learn how to feel my heartbeat to know. But the first time, I think I used a blood pressure kit and it showed that my heart rate was out of rhythm. And that's how I found out. But I've kind of learned how to feel it and know. You can kind of feel the pounding in your chest. But I'll let you add to that because you're got experience with it as well.
Sure. So the hallmark of atrial fibrillation, or AFib, is your heart rate is irregularly irregular. Like you can find that part right where your thumb is, come just below your thumb. There's a little indentation right there. Take your index finger from your other hand and you can feel your own pulse. Don't use your thumb because there's a pulse in your thumb. Use your index finger and feel right there. When you feel your pulse, if it's regular, if it's doom, 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 that's pretty much a normal sinus rhythm. If it's irregular, but it's irregularly irregular, like it's doom, 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 doom. So it's a pattern to it. That's atrial flutter. If it's irregularly irregular, which means it has no rhythm, kind of like me trying to dance, there's no rhythm whatsoever, then that's how you know you have AFib. You can feel it in your chest. I've been in it for almost 2 years now, and I was in it off and on before that. So I don't even feel it in my chest anymore. It's become my normal. But I can reach over here and take my pulse, and I can feel it. And another thing that causes AFib is uncontrolled high blood pressure, which is caused from glycation of the cells from too much sugar, and sedentary lifestyle, and seed oils. Also epicardial adipose tissue, which is basically fat that kind of gets into your heart muscle, and it can disrupt the electrical signals. I think that's the genesis of my AFib. I have so much visceral fat. I've had fatty liver disease for 30 years. When I worked for the fire department down in Augusta, Georgia, many years ago, we had to go for our annual physical, and they draw blood, and they would always call the fire station, and they would say, tell that wood guy to get off the alcohol. He's got to quit drinking. Well, I don't drink. I've never drank. And they said, well, you're showing really high liver enzymes. You're showing you're an alcoholic. Well, then they determined something called non-alcoholic fatty liver. Well, what is the active ingredient in alcohol? Sugar, right? Fermented sugar. Well, if you eat a lot of sugar and seed oil, it clogs up your liver and makes your liver fatty. So it's non-alcoholic fatty liver. Well, that same visceral fat that gets in your liver works its way up and it gets into the heart muscle, the myocardium of the heart muscle. And when that fat gets striated into the heart muscle, it disrupts the electrical signals in your heart, and it can cause you to go into AFib. My hope and my prayer is if I continue to lose this visceral fat through sprinting and the carnivore diet and stress reduction and proper sleep, eventually maybe I can fix it on my own.
Yeah, Papa says, how long have you been on carnivore? I think if you do clean, high fat carnivore for 2 to 3 years, you may be able to get out of a-fib into remission.
Off and on for 2 years, because I went in July 1st, 2023 is the day I started. And I did really good for a year, and I fell off the wagon. I had a career change and about went broke, about went bankrupt, and fell off the diet for stress. And then I came back, and then kind of when I started my new job that I'm at now, I was working 74 to 76 hours a week, exhausted all the time, and found myself just grabbing crap off the convenience store shelf. And so off and on for almost 2 years. July 1st will be 2 years. But I've been really clean for the last probably 3 or 4 months. And my blood pressure has come down a lot, and my resting heart rate has come down. So I have what I feel like are times that I have 4 or 5 regular beats, but then it goes right back into a-fib. However, 3 months ago, that wasn't happening at all. I was in a-fib every beat. So now I think there's light at the end of the tunnel that maybe if I continue on the path that I'm on with the sprinting, the reduced cortisol by reducing my stress, prioritizing sleep, grounding, sunshine, all the stuff that we talk about here, hopefully maybe it will resolve itself. But even if it doesn't, and I don't want to be flippant about it, but I'm not having any issues whatsoever. Watch my videos, man. I sprint, I do push-ups, I skip rope, and I usually only show half my workout because my videos would be too long if I didn't condense it down. And sometimes I'll speed up, like the push-ups, I'll speed it up so the video is not an hour long. But I work out harder now than I worked out in high school. And I'm 58 years old in a-fib, and I recover quickly too. Before when I first started working out, it'd take me 7 or 8 minutes to kind of catch my breath. Now I can run my sprints or do the jump rope or whatever, and in a minute and 90 seconds, a minute to 90 seconds, I'm right back to let's do again. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Carnivore Ron is here. Says he does not live a sedentary life. Sedentary. See, I can't talk. It's late too. We've been going almost 2 hours. We're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon, actually. Yeah. Greg says keep up the great work, and then Cynthia asks, why aren't you joining them, Greg? I think Greg needs to join us sometime.
Absolutely.
I think he should. Yep. Papa says, if you stay clean 2-3 years in a row without cheating, I think you're going to surprise yourself and cure your a-fib. I've heard so many stories about this. Yep, I've heard too. Yep. Greg says, I'm enjoying watching these guys. He just wants to see if I'm going to knock my microphone over, which I have not done. And we've been on for almost 2 hours. So, but we do really need to wrap it up. So, yeah. Johnny, anything you want to say here before we wrap it up tonight?
No, I just go back and reiterate all the things, the tools of the toolbox we talked about. You can, if you have a goal, if you have a desire, a place you're trying to get to, if you really in your heart want to get there, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. We've given you some pretty basic tools here and some more advanced tools. You can watch this channel. You can watch Brian's channel. You can watch, there's Dr. Barry. There's groups you can join. There's a million tools you can put in your toolbox to get you to where you're trying to go. This wasn't easy. Making the transition from the standard American diet to carnivore wasn't easy. But Brian will tell you, and I'll tell you, it was so worth it. Just don't be afraid. Try something different. Think outside the box and watch how your life can dramatically improve. And with that, I thank you.
All right. So we'll be back next Wednesday, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.